decided to run for truth and justice, which takes the form of running for President of the United States as a candidate for the People's Party, I enter into quest for truth. I enter into quest for justice. And the presidency is just one vehicle to pursue that truth and justice, what I've been trying to do all of my life. I come from a tradition where I care about you. I care about the quality of your life. I care about whether you have access to a job with a living wage, decent housing, women having control over their bodies, health care for all, de-escalating the destruction of the planet, the destruction of American democracy. Democracy creates disruption. It creates an eruption. It creates an interruption. Wide from below, the energies of everyday people is manifest. And I know there are precious people in your life who you care for. That's why it's important for you to be involved, important for you to participate. We're not talking about hating anybody. We're talking about loving. We're talking about affirming. We're talking about empowering those who have been pushed to the margins, because neither political party wants to tell the truth about Wall Street, about Ukraine, about the Pentagon, about big tech. Neo-fascists like Brother Trump or milquetoast neoliberals like Brother Biden. Wow, well, I'm so happy to make a world-shaking decision. You know what I mean? Well, I know gangsters when I see them. And gangster's not a subjective expression, it's an objective condition. Do we have what it takes? We shall see. But some of us are going to go down fighting, go down swinging with style and a smile, accenting the best in you and trying to tease out the best in me. Let's do it together.
Well, all right. Scholar activist Cornel West says he is running for president in 2024 as the third party candidate. He announced on Monday that he is running with the People's Party. In a Twitter video, he said he will run as a member of the People's Party. He criticized both major political parties and their standard bearers, President Joe Biden and President Donald Trump. Both Biden and Trump are, unfortunately, running again in 2024. Obviously, Brother West is a well-known black scholar and author and former professor at Harvard and Princeton universities. He criticized former President Barack Obama as a war criminal and supported Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, a Democratic socialist, in his presidential bids in 2016 and 2020. On his campaign website, he said he wants to create true democracy, clean out government corruption, and create a true democracy, get money out of politics, and ban corporate lobbying. He wants to enact term limits in Congress and switch to hand-counted paper ballots. I support all of those things. All of those things. Getting money out of politics is probably the most important thing anybody can do. Because virtually everything else, whether it's the military-industrial complex, the prison-industrial complex, the corporate-industrial complex with Wall Street and the corporatocracy, the corporate state that we have just as a whole in this society, as long as our politicians are owned by big money, this will be our reality. This is just what reality will be like in the United States as long as we have politicians who are all bought off and corrupt. And a lot of people don't like to admit this, especially liberals. Democrats don't like to admit this. The reason that Donald Trump won in 2016, the reason that Donald Trump might win again in 2024, it is not Russia, okay? It is the fact that people are so sick and tired of the system, this corrupt system, this military industrial complex, this prison industrial complex, this corporate industrial complex, and all the things that brings that. They are so tired of this system and everything that it entails that they are willing to throw a hand grenade into a powder keg. Because blowing it all up is preferable to the continuation of a corrupt and meaningless society where people feel like their lives are meaningless and their jobs are meaningless and they have no job security because of 40 years of the destruction of labor unions thanks to Ronald Reagan and those people, and through the continuation through Clinton and NAFTA and PNTR with China, permanent trade relations with China, and Bush and all these other people. People's lives have become a lot more precarious over the past 40 years. I talked about this the other day, a few weeks ago, when I talked about the minimum wage. The minimum wage historically kept pace with productivity and inflation. If the minimum wage kept pace with productivity and inflation from the late 60s, it would be $24 right now. $24 if it kept pace with productivity and inflation, which is what it's supposed to do. But American workers have been worked to the bone, working for $7.25 an hour. Hell, I used to work for $5.15 an hour. Show you how old I am. But before it was $7.25. People are barely getting by. This pandemic had made people more desperate, more angry, more agitated. There's more mental illness, more breakdowns, more confrontations. We just watched a woman shoot a young sister, a mother, a black woman, a mother, through her door because she got into a confrontation with her over some roller skates. Her kids. She got into it with her kids over some roller skates, and the mother just went to knock on the door, and the woman shot her through the door. We just saw some cheerleaders get shot because they accidentally opened up the wrong door when they were coming from like the convenience store. They thought they were getting into their car, got into the wrong car, and the guy just popped her. They just popped the cheerleader. Teenage girl. Young, small, skinny girl. We saw another girl get shot because she went up the wrong driveway. We saw 16-year-old Ralph Yarl shot by this old white guy because he rang the wrong doorbell and the guy just shot him through the door. This is what happens when you have a society that is in decline. Trump is actually right about that. If you noticed, if you listen to Trump's speech, he actually said it multiple times. A society in decline. A country that is in decline. He should know. He's one of the symbols of our collapse of our political and cultural institutions. So if Brother West can get in there somehow, get enough votes or shake things up enough to create a true democracy, he will be the greatest hero this country's ever had. Brother West also says that he wants to revitalize our economy. He wants to guarantee quality education, housing, a living wage, and paid leave to everyone, curb inflation, support unions, and expand Social Security, fix our infrastructure, and forgive all student debts. Again, as I just told you, if the minimum wage kept pace with inflation and productivity, it'd be $24 right now. It's still only $7.25. Quality education, housing. We could end homelessness in America with $20 billion permanently. We could permanently end homelessness in the United States of America with $20 billion. That's what HUD said. Not me, HUD. They said it would cost $20 billion. That is a fraction of what has been sent to Ukraine. Ukraine has to be somewhere near $200 billion at this point. They really do. They have to be somewhere near $200 billion. They sent $100 billion to them in the first few months last year. So I know a year, and they keep sending stuff over there. So they've got to be close to $200 billion. When we could end homelessness permanently for $20 billion. You think the Democrats in office don't know this? Again, HUD said this. These are the figures from HUD. That's a government agency, okay? You think AOC, you think Kamala Harris, you think Joe Biden, you think Bernie Sanders, you think all these Democrats are in office that we continue to vote for over and over again. You think our senator here and in the state of Indiana doesn't know this? Of course they know this. You think our Congress people don't know this? Of course they know this. But they will continue to vote to send money to Ukraine rather than into homelessness. Curb inflation. He says he wants to curb inflation. This proxy war that they've gotten us in with Russia that caused gas prices and the prices of food to spiral out of control because Ukraine was the breadbasket of the world, especially of Europe, and Russia provides oil to everybody. So now the prices of both of those things have skyrocketed, and all the food prices have skyrocketed, and the oil prices have skyrocketed. And show you just how dumb this whole thing is. This war started because the United States did not want Russia, and NATO do not want Russia to provide Europe with oil. They didn't want the rest of Europe to become dependent on Russian oil. That's the real reason behind this. And so they started this conflict, dared Vladimir Putin basically to invade Ukraine. In an attempt to get him to invade Ukraine so that they can ostracize and cut Russia off from the rest of Europe. That's why they destroyed the Nord Stream pipeline, so Russia cannot continue to provide cheap gas to Europe. But hold on. There's a whole nother economic alliance that's coming about. I told you guys about this a few weeks ago. Go to my YouTube page, Scott Cannon WLTH. Look up the BRICS countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, BRICS. South Africa's the S, okay? The BRICS countries: Brazil, India, China, South Africa, and of course Russia. They have all coalesced, and now they're all doing business together without us. And so Russia's not even really suffering that hard behind this conflict. We are. I'm paying $12.99 for hamburgers that used to cost me $7.99 just a few months ago. Inflation. There you go. And show you how ridiculous this whole thing is. Europe says we cannot buy oil from Russia. We're not buying oil from Russia, everybody. So we're going to get our oil from India. That's who we're going to get our oil from. We're going to get our oil from India. Anybody want to guess where India, which is the I in brick, you want to know where India gets their oil from? From Russia. India gets their oil from Russia. So instead of just paying Russia directly for the oil that they were getting at a cheaper price, they are now paying India for Russian oil at a price markup. They invented a middleman. They essentially created a middleman that would give them the same product for a higher price. That's who we have running our Western democracies. Joe Biden and Rishi Sunak, the moron over there in England. Before him, Boris Johnson, who was considered the British Trump. Meanwhile, the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Mexico's trying to join. We'll see how that goes, we'll see what happens if Mexico tries to join their alliance and cut us out of the economy even more. Fix our infrastructure, our bridges, our roads, our schools are falling apart. Just drive around Northwest Indiana. Drive around Gary. I went to Emerson. My school looks like a bomb hit it. It looks like post-evacuation Chernobyl. That hurts me to say that. That's why I spent from 6th grade till I graduated from high school, and now it looks like a bomb hit it. So I definitely understand where Brother West is coming from there. He also supports Medicare for all. He wants to guarantee health care to all, like every other major country on earth. I've talked about that ad nauseum here on this show. The United States of America spends far more on health care than every other country in the world. All the Western democracies, and have the least efficient healthcare system of all of them. Because it is a for-profit system where, as Chris Rock said, the money ain't in the cure, the money's in the medicine. They don't want you to be cured. They want you to be on Ozempic for the rest of your life. They want you to be on some pill protocol for the rest of your life. That's why they're trying to make you get booster shots for COVID for the rest of your life. The money's not in the cure, it's in the medicine, folks. Every other country in the world has found a way to provide health care for all of its citizens. If America isn't able to do that, then America doesn't get to call itself the greatest country in the world. It is that simple. If Canada can figure out how to do something, and England and France and Germany and Switzerland and Japan can figure out a way to do something, but the United States of America can't figure out a way to do it, then you're not the greatest country in the world. Sorry, you're not. You don't get to call yourself that. While you have hundreds of thousands, over 500,000 people file for bankruptcy every year because of medical bills. And in every other developed country, it's virtually zero in those countries. And of course, and this is one of the reasons I've always respected Brother West, he wants to end the wars. He says he wants to bring the troops home and invest those trillions of war dollars into American communities, support veterans, stop all foreign military aid, close the bases, disband NATO, and ban nuclear weapons. I support that all 100%. I've said that for years. Those troops need to be on the border. I know Brother West would probably disagree with me there because he's one of these progressive types who just, nobody's illegal type. Well, I don't agree with that, but, God bless him. I'd put him on the border. Forget building a wall. We have troops. Put them on the border. Have them send back anybody who tries to come illegally across the Rio Grande or anywhere else. I would constantly have troops on the borders and the ports and the airports. Close the bases. The United States of America has almost 1,000 military bases all over the world. 1,000. We have literally encircled the planet with our empire. And it cost us more than every other country in the top 10 combined that have militaries. We spend more on our military than the next 9 countries combined after us. Disbanding NATO. NATO shouldn't have existed after the Soviet Union fell. NATO has had no purpose since the end of the Cold War. The only reason it exists today is for rich Western European countries and American countries to bully the rest of the world, which is what they're trying to do to Russia right now, which is what they did to Muammar Gaddafi in Libya, and brought back slavery, literal chattel slavery, to the African continent. And of course, ban nuclear weapons globally. I support that, Brother West. Yes, I'm with you 100%. He wants to guarantee equal rights to all Americans, restore free speech, press freedoms, and net neutrality, end the surveillance state, in the drug war and mass incarceration, protect choice, women right to choose, regulate AI, and break up big tech. Again, all things I think are very solid platforms to run on. I mean, it's unfortunate that the party that gets 90% of the black vote in every single election can't ever say anything about the war on drugs and the prison industrial complex, which has destroyed black communities from coast to coast, like this one that we're in right now, or at least has done undue harm to communities all over America, particularly African American communities. I support breaking up big tech as well. Good for him. I support that. And he wants to protect the environment last but not least. He wants to clean up the pollution in our food, water, and air. He wants to tackle climate change and shift to regenerative agriculture, remove oil and gas subsidies, end drilling on public lands, and invest in clean energy. If you go to Scott Cannon WLTH, a few years ago, I think it was at this point, I did a segment on phthalates and the amount of petrochemicals that we have in our food, in our air, in our water. This part of the country specifically, we are one of the most polluted areas in the entire country. A lot of people don't know that. But yes, we are. We're extremely polluted at this point. So, Cornel running for the People's Party, running as a part of the People's Party, he is facing a serious hurdle, including getting his name on the ballots in each state. In the weeks to come, I will figure out exactly how we could get Brother West on the ballot here in the state of Indiana. But I think, as I've stated before, I vote third party. This is why. I don't vote for the Democrats. I don't vote for the Republicans in national elections. And Brother West is exactly the type of visionary with a revolutionary mindset that I believe would make a good president of the United States. I don't agree with him on everything. He does this thing, the same thing that a lot of black leaders, progressives do, just like my man over there in Chicago, Brandon Johnson, does. He can never address black issues without bringing up LGBT stuff or illegal immigrants or any of these other people that have nothing to do with us in terms of what our struggle is, which is white supremacy, class warfare against our communities, intergenerational poverty due to white supremacy. You know, I definitely have always, you know, felt very, like I said, I generally agree and respect Brother West, but I genuinely am always, you know, irked when he gets into the whole, you know, this is all the same fight thing. The basket of oppression. He puts black people in the basket of oppression with everybody else, as opposed to addressing us as a specific group. But other than that, he's one of the people here in this country that I respect the most, one of the greatest living Americans, a brilliant man, a overall revolutionary in his thought process. So that's who I'm going to vote for. I'm just going to tell y'all now, I'm voting for Cornel West. Unless something crazy happens between now and 2024, if I got to write him in, then I'm writing him in. Because I ain't voting for Joe Biden. And I ain't voting for Donald Trump. Oh, let me get this call before I go to a break here. Hello, caller.
What's up, man? How you doing?
It's all good, brother.
All right, man. Listen, what I want to ask you, man, all them countries you named, right?
Which one? Which countries you talking about?
Well, you named Brazil, and you named
the
Russia.
BRICS countries. BRICS.
Yeah, well, you named them all. Some of them people can't, and you named India. India has the worst economy that it is. You know, they count beans over there. They pay a penny on the dollar, you know. They got a thing for oppressing women. They got a thing for, you know, that cheap labor.
Okay.
You know, they can't even afford toilets.
Well, that's not. Some people have people have toilets. There are toilets in India.
No, listen, in Calcutta, I'm talking about in Calcutta. Now, you trying to be funny. Talking about people got toilets.
There are people in the ghettos. You're right. In ghettos, I'm sure there are people who have problems. That's in a lot of the third world.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, okay, but hey, but listen, let me talk, and you know, and then you could, you know, controverse, you know, with me in a minute. All right, you threw out a whole bunch of red meat. You know, but that's your show. You know, that's the, you know, the way you know, present your show, son. But let me tell you. You got places that you name can't even afford toilet paper. They can't even afford to feed themselves. You see what I'm saying? What Russia gonna do? Russia gonna drink oil and eat caviar.
That's what they doing.
Well, you know what? Don't you know what? They getting their head balled to them. But listen, let me tell you, Russia blew up their own pipeline. You see what I'm saying? When they blew up that pipeline, they did that themselves.
Why is that? How does that make any sense?
Now, wait a minute. Now, hold it. Wait a minute. Now, I don't know where you get your information from, and my information might be far-fetched just as your information. It's just like when China blew that dam up. You think that Ukraine would have blew up their own dam to drown and take all this harvest of wheat and other
They
grain?
already have. They already have. You gotta, if you're watching, they have admitted. First of all, the U.S. government now, and it's being written about all over in American media, that the Ukrainians probably blew up Nord Stream. So the idea that Russia blew up Nord Stream is not even being pushed by our government at this point.
Listen, like I say, that's neither here nor there. You know, I don't listen to Al Jazeera, you know. Okay. I don't be listening to all them foreign channels. But listen, let me tell you this. I know this for, a fact that they're going to try to put it through. They're going to get their head balled to them. Okay, now you got China, and China is going to try to land itself in Cuba. But when it lands itself in Cuba, it's going to get its head balled to them, okay? They're going to be eating more than rice. They ain't going to have no chopsticks to eat their rice off of. But listen, let me tell you this, man. When you get on there and you say you can't recognize your school, you know why you can't recognize your school? Because of the scrappers. They went out there, they made your school unrecognizable. The thieves. You could go to any other place that has the same amount of population, the same city layout, and you don't see how Gary is. Gary is a good place, but you got bad people that came to Gary. So when you try to say that Mr. Biden, President Biden, is not doing his job, he's doing the best he can with what he's working with.
So sending hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine while people are starving and while our roads are collapsing is him doing the best he can do?
You know what? I don't see no roads collapsing. I don't see no people starving.
What? You don't see bridges collapsing?
Wait a minute. If you want to be a junkie, if you want to be a hype, if you want to be a crackhead, that's your choice in this country. You don't have that choice nowhere else. If you want to sleep in a tent, that's your choice. But they don't want nothing better. Mental illness, that's something that you yourself walks into. You could go to any place and get treatment. They don't want no treatment. Crack won't let you go into those places. Alcohol won't let you go in those places. Those are choices. Other countries, when you have that type of problem, they put you to death. They don't let you hang around on the corner and beg.
What other countries are we talking about here?
What other country? Let me think of one. Maybe Panama. They don't allow that. They don't allow that in the Philippines. If you selling dope, if you're a dope man in the Philippines, the president of the Philippines himself comes out personally and jack you up. You understand what I'm saying? They don't stand for that. If you selling heroin in China, they send the people out and they jack you up. If you get caught with a gun, you don't have to do no mass destruction of citizens there. You got to come out with a butcher knife, a sword, a machete. They don't allow that type of activity here. They let you do what you want to do. This is the land of choice. Okay? Now, I'm going to tell you like this. You get you a star on your driver's license. Get you a passport. The world is yours. They don't hold nobody here. Everybody want to come here and complain and put the spotlight on America. But America, it ain't the best place to live. It's not the greatest place to live. But for right now, this all we got besides going to the moon and
But
Mars.
why isn't it the greatest place to live?
You no ticket. They ain't gonna sell you no ticket.
Why ain't it the greatest place to live?
Because you know why? Because of the propaganda and the division that some people have planted out there that hate, and the vile victories of all of this have came about because they could brainwash certain people with Al Jazeera, and you get together on the internet, and all of a sudden you come up with all of these wild conspiracies. None of that.
So American workers make a fraction of what they used to make 40, 50 years ago because of Al Jazeera?
No. Everybody makes what they make because they put themselves in those spots because of education. What you want a fry cook to make $50 an hour when he's a fry cook. If he want to make it better, then you know what he'll do. He'll get his education, and then he'll do something
Franklin Roosevelt, one of our greatest presidents, said that every American who's working full time should make a living wage. And that
Which one of the Roosevelt, Franklin or Daddy?
Franklin, he said every if you can't afford to pay an American a living wage to do a job, then you shouldn't be in business. That's what FDR said, and I agree with him.
When FDR said that, what time it was in the world, that was when a loaf of bread cost a nickel a loaf. When you could go get a box of crackers for a penny. Well, if I could go get a box of crackers and a loaf of bread for a nickel a loaf, I have a bakery right now. The ingredients to those things, it costs too much money for the ingredients. So how can I go get a loaf of bread?
Right, because corporations have hijacked our society. You're absolutely right. You can't buy it for that anymore because corporations have hijacked our government. They've essentially cornered our economy. They've created a system in which only they can prosper. So yes, I agree with you there. But they own our politicians, which is why these things don't get better. But thank you for your call. I gotta go to another call, brother. It's all good. Hello, caller.
Hi, Scott.
It's all good.
I like that what you was talking about with Cornel.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. I like a lot of things you said, but now here's the thing. Now this is the problem that I've had with a lot of people. When you run for president or a political office, okay, say you're running for a mayor, okay, we're gonna say a mayor.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot, if you're black, you cannot discount everybody else just because you're black.
I don't think anybody says he should or anybody should.
But that's what I'm saying. But you said because because they put these other groups as a because you're the president. If he becomes the president, he'd be the president of every citizen in this country.
Right.
And I think that you have to respect every citizen in this country. And I think it would be kind of pitiful to, even if you did it, to just come out and just, you know what I'm saying. I hope you understand.
I mean, I feel what you're trying to say, but here's the thing. When they talk to Jews, when they talk to AIPAC, they don't start talking about all these other groups of people.
Okay, but here's the thing. But if a Jewish person was running for office, they wouldn't just focus on and say this is just for Jews.
I didn't say he should only focus on black people. I support all of it. He's talking about universal health care. I'm saying that when he talks about racism and white supremacy, he always brings other people into that. When he talks about oppression and class warfare, he brings all these, he equates all these other groups of people with that. But that is not, but we are not dealing with the same thing. Okay, we are not dealing with the same thing. And that's the issue I have. That, like I said, it's just like with Brandon Johnson in Chicago. Look, support what you support. I don't care if you support people's lifestyles or if you support immigration or those other things. But when you act like it is the same exact thing
as what
exactly, that's what I have an issue with.
Okay, I got what you're saying because I think about a lot of things that you were reading. Mm-hmm. I do support, and I was thinking along these same lines. I said, now, who am I going to vote for president? Because I just feel like I'm hoping that somebody else okay, if you have a Democrat like Joe Biden running,
mm-hmm.
Is it wrong for somebody else to run as a Democrat?
No, I mean it's democracy.
So I think that somebody else needs to get up there. I mean, because other than that, we are truly going to lose this election.
Yeah.
I just cannot see another if it's Joe Biden, I think we'll lose the election.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm so serious, and wow. I don't know. This is a toughie.
Right. Hey, take your time. You got to November 2024. It's just June of 2023, so we're good.
You know what? Hopefully somebody else will stick their head in the ring, and hopefully maybe this gentleman. But you know what? I used to have an issue with him because of his attitude, I guess. But I remember when I was in college, I had an issue with Mr. West. But I like the things that he's saying. So, well, we'll see.
Yeah, just keep an open mind, and I say that to everybody. Oh, keep an open mind. The Democrats, the Republicans are two corrupt car
Well,
parties.
You know what?
Yeah.
I think that absolute power seemingly does corrupt.
Yep.
So even if it's him and he get in there, he could become just as corrupt because he's a human being.
Well, I mean, but see, being that he's not a part of the Democrats, being that he's not a part of the
I
Republicans,
understand that, but
and
he's gonna want to start a new party, but that party can become corrupt.
Yeah, if we allow them to have the type of power entrenched power for hundreds of years, you're right. I agree. But but his run in this instance is pushing back against the type of institutional control that the Democrats and Republicans have.
And I like that idea of getting money out of politics. That's great. Okay, then.
All right.
Take care, Scott.
Thank you for your call.
You know what?
Yes.
I look forward to Friday night.
Oh, I look forward to talking to you. It's all good. I look forward to talking to every single one of you, and I appreciate all of you listening here on WLTH 1370 AM, even those whose views